to introduce payment of allowances to some members of Ward Development Committee, and when the question was put, this motion was negative.
The second private member's motion was moved by Petauke Central Member of Parliament, Mr. Emmanuel J. Banda, urging the government to issue lifetime diplomatic passports to former vice presidents, ministers and members of parliament in recognition of the service they rendered to the nation, and so this motion was adopted.
We had a report of the Committee on Local Governance, Housing and Chiefs Affairs presented by Mr. Samakai, that the House to adopt the report of the Committee on Local Governance, Housing and Chiefs Affairs on the review of the implementation of the integrated development plans in local authorities for the second session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 21st June 2023.
And at the time the proceedings were interrupted yesterday and debate stood adjourned, on the floor of the House was Mr. Harry Kamboni, Member of Parliament for Kalomo, winding up the debate on the report of the Committee on National Guidance and Gender Matters on achieving a 50-50 gender parity in governance and decision-making position in Zambia for the second session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 14th June 2023. And so the House adjourned accordingly at 19:14 hours. And so that is basically business that was considered on the floor of the House yesterday, Wednesday, 28th June 2023. Just now, we look at today's order paper.
Absolutely. The House is expected to consider 2 questions for oral answer, understanding order number 76, and 3 questions, understanding order number 74. And of course, we do expect a motion that will be moved by Mr. Ara Kangombe, that the House to adopt the report of the Committee on Energy, Water Development and Tourism on the tourism sector development and the effectiveness of tourism development strategies in Zambia for the second session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on Friday, 23rd June 2023. Of course, we have resumption of debate on the reports of the Committee on National Guidance and Gender Matters. Time now to look at the questions that will be considered on the floor of the House.
The first question, understanding order 76, will come from Chairman North Member of Parliament, Mr. Yota Mutayachalo, and he's posing his question to the Minister of Health. He wants to find out whether the government is aware that of late there has been an increase in cases of cancer diseases in the country, and B, whether the government is aware that the National Health Insurance Management Authority currently pays a maximum of 1,500 towards cancer treatment for each person, thereby making patients unable to afford the cost of treatment. And in the C part of the question, he wants to find out, if so, what urgent measures have been taken to make cancer treatment more affordable and to avoid loss of lives.
Question 320 is expected to come from Mr. Mumbo of Kankanshi, to ask the Minister of Finance and National Planning what the cause of the sharp appreciation of the kwacha in the week beginning 18th June 2023 was, and what urgent measures are being taken to mitigate the negative impact of the sharp appreciation that will have on the economy.
Then the next question, which is question number 321, understanding order 74, will come from Rumezi Member of Parliament, Mr. Mnia Zulu, and he's posing his question to the Minister of Education. There you have it on your screen, is Madam Speaker's procession making its way to the chamber. Keep watching Parliament Television. Good afternoon.
Honorable Members of Parliament, Madam Speaker.
Sentencing of Zambia, proud and free, land of wealth and joy in unity. victors in the struggle for the right. We want freedom's fight for one, strong and free. Africa is our own motherland, fashioned with and blessed by those who blend. Let us all our people join as one, brothers under the sun. Oh, one, strong and free. One land and one nation is our cry. Dignity and peace in Zambia's sky, like a noble eagle in its flight. Zambia, praise to thee, oh one, strong and free. Praise be to God, bless our great Zambia, Zambia, Zambia. Remain we stand under the flag of our land. Zambia, praise to thee, oh one, strong and free.
Prayer. Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness has appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to consider with your abundant favor us, your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of such important responsibilities in this land. Let your blessing descend upon us here in Parliament assembled, and grant that we may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country, and of those whose interests you have committed to our church. Amen. We start with matters of urgent public importance. I see two honorable members who have indicated. There is honorable member for Muchinga, will be followed by the honorable member for Katombora. We start with the honorable member for Muchinga.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to rise on a very serious matter of public urgent importance. Madam Speaker, my matter of public urgent importance is directed to our very hardworking Minister of Energy. Madam Speaker, more than 1,000 jobs have been lost in Serenge, and this is due to a standoff that is between ZESCO and the manganese smelting companies. Again, as at yesterday, a letter was circulated by ZESCO that by July 1st, they will be switching off power if this is not solved. And at this point, Madam Speaker, if government doesn't intervene, it means Serenge will be a ghost town. There will be a lot of misery arising from the same. And that's my matter of urgent public importance. Madam Speaker, I seek your serious indulgence. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. My guidance on that honorable member for Muchinga is put in a question. Put in a question, and then it will be answered by the honorable minister. The honorable member for Katombora.
I thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for according the people of Katombora constituency to raise a matter of urgent public importance pertaining directed at the Minister of Home Affairs. Madam Speaker, just yesterday, a press statement was released by the Law Association of Zambia suggesting that the press statement that was issued by the Law Association of Zambia states, and I quote, LAS condemns increased incidents of police brutality against members of the opposition. Madam Speaker, the people of Katombora are very concerned that there is this press statement which has capacity of misleading members of the public and the world at large that we are back to police brutality of the Patriotic Front. I would like the Minister of Home Affairs to clarify this position. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Order, honorable members. Indeed, there have been some discussion on the. Are you still, honorable? You are done?
The table, the press statement, Madam Speaker.
Is it a public document or where did it come from?
It came from the Law Association. I'm a member of the Law Association of Zambia, Madam Speaker. So this is from LAS, Law Association of Zambia, issued by the President of the Law Association of Zambia. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The honorable member, you should have brought it to my chambers first for verification. You can lay it on the table later after it's verified. But for now, it hasn't been verified. The issue of this alleged police brutality, it has been doing rounds on social media. LAS has also done a press statement. And I believe that the Honorable Minister of Home Affairs should come to the House and give the side of the government on the matter. I don't know if the Honorable Minister is ready now or he can come back later. I see him indicating. Honorable Minister of Home Affairs.
Madam Speaker, with your indulgence, I just want to inform this August House that I'm addressing the press today at 15:30 on the same issues which are being raised.
Order, honorable members. Are you now the presiding officers or why don't you wait for guidance? Why don't you wait for guidance? That's the position
Madam
by
Speaker,
the minister. I will respond.
Madam Speaker, I'm making this statement known because I don't want to be cited that despite your ruling, I'm going ahead to make a press statement. I have already arranged for the press and the statement is ready. I'll issue a statement. But I have no problems coming to this House and inform the nation, for I know that my colleagues are enjoying unprecedented freedom, unlike it was in the past.
Order, order. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for that indication. But when Parliament is sitting, I believe it's important that statements of that nature should be made in the House. It's good for the country so that everybody can hear the position of the government for purposes of clarifying the point. So it's only that there's a long holiday that is coming. Today is Thursday. But what about tomorrow? Why can't you come to the House tomorrow and deliver a statement?
Well, Madam, if what I intend to do today does not offend the House, I'll still go ahead because I have to address the nation and the press so that they can ask questions, and I can still come tomorrow and address the House. Yes, I'm going to come.
Unfortunately, according to our rules, okay, let me just. Order. Unfortunately, according to our rules, Standing Order 130C, once a press statement has been made outside the House, it cannot come to the House. The best would be for the statement to be made in the House. But however, I'm aware that if there was a way, Honorable Minister, is it not possible to come to the House tomorrow? to deliver that statement in the House. It's good for purposes of the whole nation hearing what the position of the government is on the matter. Because once you go to the press, you cannot come to the House. So it's up to you, Honorable Minister. If you prefer to go to the press, then...
Well, Madam Speaker, I'm guided. I have no problem myself coming to the House and issue that statement. Yes.
Thank you very much. Then in that regard, in that case then, the Honorable Minister of Home Affairs will come back to the House tomorrow to issue a press statement on that matter of alleged police brutality. Thank you. I have permitted the Honorable Minister of Energy to make a ministerial statement. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Madam Speaker, I wish to thank you for this opportunity to give a ministerial statement on the fuel supply situation in the country. This is arising from a matter of urgent public importance raised by Honorable Christopher Kangombe, Junior Engineer, Member of Parliament for Kamfinsa. Madam Speaker, in October 2022, the Minister of Energy...
The honorable members, let's listen. I didn't even get what they mean.
It's a title, Madam Speaker.
It's the title, don't worry. Is junior engineer to the honorable minister. And I'm sure he has not protested. May you proceed, honorable minister.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. In October 2022, the Ministry of Energy disengaged from financing and procuring petroleum products for the Zambian market. This policy direction has enhanced private sector participation, that is oil marketing companies, in the fuel supply chain, with these companies now taking a leading role in meeting national petroleum requirements. In June 2023, the Ministry of Energy, through daily stock monitoring, observed with growing concern low importation of petrol by oil marketing companies. The main reason advanced by the oil marketing companies for the said low imports is the alleged non-responsive pricing mechanism. The low petrol stocks in the month of June have been further exacerbated by Indeni refinery being on shutdown from 15th June 2023. The refinery went into shutdown due to lack of storage space for high sulfur gas or diesel that is currently being produced by the refinery through the processing of the crude oil feedstock that was displaced from the Tazama pipeline. Madam Speaker, in order to address the low petrol stock position in the immediate term, the government, through the Ministry of Energy, has ensured that Indeni Refinery resumes operations. The refinery resumed its operations on Sunday, 25th June 2023, and the first batch of 700,000 liters of petrol was produced from the refinery and pumped for distribution on Tuesday, 27th June 2023. This therefore means that this volume of petrol is available for the market. The petrol from the refinery is being supplemented by imports from the oil marketing companies. It must be pointed out that the recent appreciation of the Zambian kwacha has already improved the importation of petrol, which has increased by 30% from 19th to 26th June 2023. It is therefore anticipated that the increase in imports will cushion the shortfall from the refinery and enhance security of supply of petrol for the country. Madam Speaker, you may recall that I had earlier mentioned that one of the reasons advanced by the OMCs is alleged non-responsive pricing mechanism. In this regard, The government, through the Ministry of Energy, is considering the following short-term measures. 1. Introduction of a slate mechanism aimed at addressing exchange rate fluctuations. A slate mechanism ensures that any under-collections by importers of fuel are compensated in the following month and vice versa. These under and over collections are computed for each day in the fuel price review period, and an average exchange rate for the fuel price review period is calculated. The current mechanism for the exchange rate component does not allow for over and under collections. Number 2, peer review of the petroleum pricing mechanism. The government intends to carry out an independent review of the petroleum pricing mechanism so as to ensure the adequacy of the current petroleum pricing mechanism. This shall respond to assertions of the non-responsiveness of the current pricing mechanism and is being undertaken through an independent peer review process. Madam Speaker, in the medium term, and also to ensure sustainable fuel supply, the government plans to implement the private sector-led system for bulk importation of petroleum products, the Zambia Bulk Petroleum System, that is how it will be called. The Ministry of Energy is working with the key stakeholders to implement a structured system for the bulk importation of petroleum products in a bid to ensure and enhance security of fuel supply. This system is aimed at establishing more stable and efficient importation and distribution of petroleum products in Zambia. It is envisaged that the system shall ensure that the supply of petroleum products is conducted in a coordinated manner and at the most competitive price. Madam Speaker, the above interventions are all part of the broader sector reforms that my ministry is implementing so as to ensure that petroleum products are procured at the lowest possible price. Madam Speaker, my statements thus far has been focused on the petrol situation in the country. That said, may I take this opportunity to inform the House that the country has adequate stocks of low sulfur gas oil. Madam Speaker, lastly, I wish to reassure the House and the nation that the petrol stockouts reported in Kitwe and other parts of the country shall normalize in the next few days. I further wish to urge the public to report any filling stations that do not have petrol stocks to the Energy Regulation Board to avoid the hoarding of fuel by the OMCs. The Ministry of Energy remains vigilant to ensuring adequate security of supply of petroleum products. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Honorable members are now free to ask for questions on points of clarification on the ministerial statement given by the Honorable Minister of Energy, the Leader of Opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Minister, for that statement. Now, Honorable Minister, previously, government invested in storage in various areas away from Indeni, mostly in provinces. This was to ensure that in times such as these, where you have challenges with oil marketing companies, citing reasons like non-responsive pricing mechanisms, would at least go on as a country with some steady supply of fuel. Could you just inform the House for how long our facilities are able to hold in case there's any problem at Indeni or indeed with the pipeline? For how long can we maintain a steady supply to the nation? I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Leader of the Opposition, for that question. Madam Speaker, government disengaged from the procurement of petroleum products because we found that the country was owing OMCs close to 700 million with interest accruing. As a result of that, government cannot, in the meantime, procure any petroleum products. That is why the procurement at the moment is being led by private sector companies that are bringing the products. However, we are monitoring the situation and promise that we are coming up with processes that will ensure that there is security of supply to the nation as of now.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Luena.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, some of the oil marketing companies have attributed this shortage of petrol to the markups offered by ERB on petrol and diesel. And they are claiming that the standard margin, which is the same on both petrol and margin, is making petrol less attractive because it costs more to bring it in the country. If that is true, Honorable Minister, is your ministry still considering the option of adjusting prices on a quarterly basis rather than on a monthly basis anytime in the near future? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you for that question. Madam Speaker, I've already indicated that there's been some differences between the Energy Regulation Board and the OMC on the pricing mechanism. Government had to bring in an expert to do peer review on the pricing mechanism so that all parties can agree to the method of pricing, and I can assure this House that soon we'll be able to overcome this problem and move the process forward. And you see, we cannot start giving a quarterly pricing mechanism. The days when government was doing that and they could review the price in 1 year, because government was heavily subsidizing. That is why we are now saddled with this $700 million, Congole on the fuel. Thank you. Meaning debt.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Pambashe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Welcome, Your Honor, Vice President. We missed you. The junior minister and the junior MP, the cost of the shortage of petroleum product in Zambia, it is real and it has hit even Lusaka today. I had to go through more than 3-4 service stations for me to refuel. And when you interact with these dealers, they are saying, you are working with a company called Agrofuel, who are charging the dealers 1 kwacha per liter, and that's why it is proving very expensive for them to buy locally. Is it true? You can be able to confirm that allegation.
Thank you. First of all, before the Honorable Minister comes to answer, when you say the junior minister, junior to who?
Is junior minister to me and the junior member of parliament to me, Madam Speaker.
Order. Honorable Member for Pambashe, at the moment you are not a minister. So you can, okay. So anyway, that was on the lighter note. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Agrofuel is not importing petrol. The question that is on the table now is on the shortage of petrol. Agrofuel is importing diesel, and there's no shortage of diesel. Let me take this opportunity to also inform the Honorable Member of Parliament for Pambashe that as at 12 hours today, 5 million liters of petrol was brought into the country, and it is already being delivered to a filling station. So the situation should normalize within the next 2-3 days. Submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kalavo Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I wanted to find out from the Honorable Minister, when he's saying in the few days people will be running out of fuel. Wouldn't that have been less than few days? Because he knew that there's a shortage of fuel. Why couldn't the government come in before so that these few days he is referring to wouldn't be there? We want few hours. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I've indicated in my ministerial statement that government disengaged from procuring petroleum products. So whether government was available now to bring in the products, it takes about a week to bring in the products. So that is why now I've just mentioned that 5 million liters has already arrived in the country, and it is being distributed. So within 2 or 3 days, we should be able to have a normal situation as I've met.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chama North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Minister. Honorable Minister, the petroleum sector plays a key role to Zambia's economic development because it drives the wheels of production. You are saying that government has disengaged from this particular exercise. Are you contemplating in future government get involved if these oil marketing companies would want to hold government at ransom so that we don't disrupt the state supply of fuel?
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Madam Speaker, we haven't ruled out the possibility of government coming back to do petroleum procurement. Until such a time that we have liquidated the 700 million plus debt, that is when we'll be able to consider options of government getting involved into this petroleum procurement as I met.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Lukasha.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Minister, I just wanted to find out, I thought I heard you say that you allowed Indeni to process to fill the gap of this shortage. I just want to find out if that is a temporary measure or it's a permanent measure. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Tsanga. Indeni is just processing the final part of the feedstock that was in the pipeline, because the Tazama pipeline has been converted into a finished product, which is diesel. So once this is done, then the Indeni, now, because now Indeni is called Indeni Energies, will go into oil marketing, and it will be importing petrol, diesel, and all the petroleum products. Submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Mfrida.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, I recall that even last month, towards the end of the month, when there was an anticipation of the price review, some stations also had run out of fuel. And now there's a conspiracy that, in fact, this has happened because we are expecting a price review tomorrow. Has the government investigated that this shortage is not just holding due to speculation, waiting for the price announcement tomorrow? Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I cannot speculate on any conspiracy. We've got a regulatory body, which is the Energy Regulation Board, who are responsible in monitoring and ensuring that there's no speculation and holding of the products as I met.
The Honorable Member for Petauke Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving the good people of Petauke this opportunity to ask a follow-up question to the Minister of Energy. The Minister of Energy, first let me congratulate you for the quick response you have done, because the good people of Petauke right now, they are happy that those queues which are there by the filling station, I'm sure they'll go away in the next 2 days. Now the question is, you have said that you need to liquidate, you need to pay this debt, that's when everything will normalize, about $700 million US. Is this debt local or international? Are they international? Are they local suppliers or maybe international suppliers? And when are you starting paying them so that at least we should be at peace? Thank you. And with this debt structure coming, I'm sure.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Member of Parliament. Madam Speaker, the 700 million plus, because it is attracting interest, is owed to international companies, not local companies. And as soon as we dismantle this, then a decision will be made by Cabinet whether we should continue to get involved in the procurement of petroleum products. So, Honorable, that is our answer. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kamfinsa, you only ask one question according to our standing orders. 2 questions only apply to Standing Order 74 and 76. You may proceed.
I thank you most sincerely, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the reason I raised the urgent matter was due to the disruption in the economy in terms of fuel supply. I want to find out from the Minister of Energy. We have experts at ERB, we have experts in your ministry. When are you going to put in place mechanisms that will allow the country to know that now we are going to have a fuel crisis, so that some of these things could be prevented instead of disrupting the wheels of the economy? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you. I think I should, Madam Speaker, I'll read the statement on slate mechanism. A slate mechanism ensures that any under collections by importers of fuel are compensated in the following month and vice versa. Because this is where the problem is currently. And we are working on a mechanism that will be able to accurately predict, the ups and downs of the prices that is will be obtaining at the pump price. So we will soon be announcing this mechanism so that OMCs will be working to this mechanism, and I'm sure they will be happy to work with us on using this mechanism. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member from Chitambo.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Minister, in your statement, you said OMCs are saying that the biggest challenge they have is a non-responsive price mechanism, which you said you are engaging some experts to help us review. My question to you, Minister, is the current situation we have is more like a crisis where we have shortages in certain areas in the country. Why are you being reactive other than being proactive? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Government is not being reactive. Government has set policy that this sector will be private driven, and that is what is obtaining now, I submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Namwala.
Thank you so very much, Madam Speaker. Through you to the Minister. Minister, may I know whether indeed the debt of the fuel that mounted to 700 million was supplied, unlike what used to happen before, where amounts were indicated yet nothing was supplied? The Honorable Minister, your position on that, I thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. A short answer to that is yes, the products were supplied, but at an elevated price, I submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chipili.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, in your statement, you said Ndeni was shut down, I think in June, because of the storage facility. Why didn't you take advantage of the facilities, storage facilities which have been constructed in most of the provinces just for, yes, by PF? Why didn't you take that route instead of shutting down because of the storage facility when we have those facilities? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Madam Speaker, we were anticipating that high sulfur diesel will be sold locally and exported, but this hasn't happened. As a result, there was what they call haulage on the quantities. Yes, we've got depots in Mansa and other areas in Pika. We don't want to add additional cost to the pump price by tracking again the low sulfur diesel, which is not selling to those destinations. However, there's a bit of movement on it, and then it should be able to process all the petrol that is remaining. Submit.
The Honorable Member for Mitete.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Minister, this debt was it accrued during this tenure, your tenure, or not? How did it come about? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Madam Speaker, it's a sad situation to note that it was the order of the day to default on payments in the previous government. So we are trying our level best to liquidate this debt from the little resources that we've got. I submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Nyimba.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Although my question was touched by the previous member, but Minister, make me understand. Fuel is a cash business, and when fuel is supplied to a filling station, the marketing company pays, and we pay cash. So how did you accumulate this money? Because this is perpetual succession. So tell me, Minister, this is a cash business. How did you accumulate that money? Thank you.
Thank you. Order, 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 order. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Madam Speaker, that's a very good and interesting question. Yes, it is a cash, what can we call it, trading. Okay. But what used to happen, Madam Speaker, was that the previous government will import this product at a high price because the price is pegged in dollars. There was a lot of fluctuations in the currency, so they couldn't keep up with the loss in the difference between the dollar and the kwacha. So in the process, there was a build-up, okay, build-up on the difference between the dollar and the kwacha collections, because they could keep the price for, say, over 6 months. As a result of that, the accumulation kept on going up, 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 up. In the end, they failed to pay. And we had to inherit this debt, and we are slowly, slowly dismantling it. It will take a while for us to dismantle this debt. So the nation has to bear with us that we are doing our level best to dismantle this debt, and once we do that, we are going to start the importation ourselves. Let me take this opportunity, Madam Speaker, to also inform the nation that as a result of this is a challenge to us. We plan to start blending fuel using ethanol so that at least we'll be able to save maybe about $10 million from the blend of petrol, which is about 20% ethanol to 80% petrol. So these are measures that we are trying to do so that we can reduce on the exposure on foreign exchange. I submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kwacha.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for allowing me on behalf of the people of Kwacha to ask a follow-up question on the Minister of Energy. But before I do that, allow me, Madam Speaker, to send my heartfelt condolences to the families of the 2 CBO students that died through a road accident, and they were being put to rest yesterday. Honorable Minister, what could be the long-lasting measures my working government is putting in place to avoid a further disruption of fuel, which is regarded as the engine of economy. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The answer to that is a good price to the OMCs. Then we should be able to have a steady supply and security of the products in the country, as well as the dismantling of the debt, because this is like an albatross on our neck. Until we get rid of this thing, we could be facing these difficulties from time to time. I submit.
Thank you. The last question, the Honorable Member from Kaumbwe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, from the supply and the demand principle, the economy, you have injected 5 million liters of petrol. How many days will this stock last? Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Madam Speaker, I was just reporting on the quantities that has gone on the market today. More fuel is coming in as we talk. So I was just giving that 5 million liters as an example. At 12 hours this afternoon, we received about 5 million liters, and more will come. That is why I'm confident that within the next 2-3 days, the situation will normalize. I submit.
Thank you very much. Question for oral answer under Standing Order 76. The Honorable Member for Chama North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 319.
The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good afternoon. Madam Speaker, the MP, Member of Parliament for Chama North, is asking whether government is aware that of late there has been an increase in the cases of cancer diseases in the country. B, whether the government is aware that the National Health Insurance Management Authority, NIMA, currently pays a maximum of 1,500 kwacha towards cancer treatment for each patient, thereby making many patients unable to afford the cost of treatment. And if so, what measures or what urgent measures are being undertaken to make cancer treatment more affordable and to avert loss of lives? Our response, Madam Speaker, is as follows. Government is aware that there has been an increase in the cases of cancer diseases in the country. The House may wish to note that Zambia continues to face a high burden of cancer-related illness and deaths. The 2020 Global Can report had estimated 13,831 cases. This increased from 12,052 in 2018. In addition, the majority, which is approximately 63% of new cancer cases in Zambia, die from the disease. The highest burden of cancer comes from cervical cancer, with 3,161 new cases. Kaposi sarcoma with 2,210 cases. Prostate cancer, 1,546 cases. Breast cancer, 972 cases. And esophagus cancer, 506 cases. These increased from the 2018 figures of cervical cancer, which were at 2,994 new cases, with Kaposa, 1,690 previously, prostate cancer 1,230, breast cancer 888, and esophagus cancer 389 respectively. In addition, childhood cancers, despite being curable, are associated with very high mortality in Zambia. This increased cancer burden, coupled with suboptimal financing over the past years, inadequate availability of cancer medicine supplies and equipment, low access to prevention and early detection services, causes significant impact on patients, their families, and the economy. Madam Speaker, government is not aware that NEMA currently pays a maximum of 1,500 towards cancer treatment for each patient. The House may wish to note that the cost of various interventions for the treatment of cancer is far above the purported amount of 1,500 kwacha. There is no limit to the treatment of the patient, as this is dependent on their condition. Further, the House may also wish to note that NEMA covers various stages in the treatment of cancer patients. These include the following. 1. Diagnosis. NEMA covers the cost of radiological CT, MRI, and laboratory, histology, and immunohistochemistry, diagnostic modalities, as well as specialized or specialist consultation fees. Secondly, treatment. NEMA covers chemotherapy and various aligned therapies like pain management, hydration, and cost of managing metastatic disease. Thirdly, NEMA covers the cost of hospital admission and related inpatient costs. Fourthly, rehabilitation. NEMA covers costs of rehabilitation, including various forms of physiotherapy. Further, NEMA covers orthotics and prosthetics. And fifth, hospice care. NEMA covers the cost of hospice care up to 90 days as enshrined in Statutory Instrument Number 63 of 2019, being the maximum duration of insured hospice care in a calendar year. Madam Speaker, regarding question C, as stated earlier in B, that government is not aware that NEMA pays a maximum of only 1,500 towards cancer treatment for each patient. This is not correct and maybe is actually misleading. The House may wish to note that there is no limit to the treatment of a cancer or of cancer patients, as this is dependent on their condition. Therefore, Part C of the question falls off. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Supplementary questions? The Honorable Member for Chama North.
Speaker, thank you, Minister, for that response. I'm happy that the Minister has admitted that cancer cases are on the stage. Because I took a fact-finding mission to Cancer Disease Center at UTH. Honorable Minister, you are saying that there is no limit in terms of accessibility to these medicines. Are you aware that we have cheap medication and also expensive medications, and that NEMA actually is not actually meeting that medication, which goes up to 6,500. So are you confirming to the nation that NEMA is able to cater for any kind of treatment, including expensive cancer treatment?
The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the answer is very clear to the question that was asked, specifically that NEMA has a limit of 1,500 per patient. And my response has categorically stated that that is not correct. And the answer has gone in full detail to give the various stages of various kind of treatment and care towards a patient on cancer. Except to say that when it comes to the last stage, I have indicated that there is a minimum of days towards which NEMA will pay. And if you stay beyond that date, obviously that falls off. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Pambashe.
I thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, during the tour on the Committee for Economic Affairs, when we were reviewing the Procurement Act, we did interact with some hospitals who did indicate that they are having a challenge. That's why Zambia today is experiencing the increase in terms of the cancer diseases. There's some medicine that they've done away with in terms of the painkiller, and they have recommended that it be replaced with morphine. But they were alleging that government keeps on insisting sending the medicine to the hospitals, which in return could be the cause of cancer in so many patients. Minister, if you are aware, in what measure are you going to put in place to making sure that medicine that have been disregarded globally and they are a threat to human life that can cause cancer are not admitted in the various facilities in Zambia? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Honorable, for your follow-up question, except to say that is completely a new question, and it would, Madam Speaker, would require a specific question. Because what you are saying now, through your question actually, which may not even be factual, is that we, as a government, are distributing a drug that should not be distributed. Madam Speaker, you may wish to know that issues of drug management and even what drug to give are not issues that one just gets up in the morning and decides to do away with. We follow international standards under the WHO. So even now, when you look at the treatment of malaria, malaria has had different forms or kinds of drugs that have been administered. And when we change, a circular is issued, and we change based on guidelines, not just somebody waking up and saying, because you read in a newspaper or you were in Malawi, they told you this. No, we don't do that. This is why, Madam Speaker, I'm saying it's a question that would require me to really get facts. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Chama North.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to find out from the Minister, because he's insisting that actually NEMA is covering up to, I can say, the expensive drug, when the fact of the matter is that the hospital has been giving prescriptions to people who go to chemistries, and they are told that you can only go up to 1,500, and they're asked to top up. So, Minister, are you very sure, really, that this is what is happening, the answer you have given on this floor of the House?
There is an indication before the Honorable Minister comes to answer that question, and it's chemist, not chemistry, Honorable Member for Chama North. The Honorable Member for Pambashe is indicating he's got a point of order. What's the point of order?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, according to Standing Order number 65B, that says a member shall not impute the improper motive on the other member. So, Madam Speaker, the members of your committee on the national economy includes our brothers and sisters
the honorable members of parliament, from UPND and the PF, and we did undertake, and my assertion is in the report, in your report, Madam Speaker, which has been adopted, where the hospital administrators in the hospitals that we visited did indicate and cry and even requested that they be given authority to be buying their own medicine. Now, for the minister to say, I am imputing wrong motives to say government has been distributing wrong medicine for administration in our hospitals, when I'm just quoting the information that was given to us by the administrators of the hospitals. Is the minister in order to accuse me of suggesting that government is distributing wrong medicine when I'm actually not the one? I'm just a receiver of the messages as stated by the hospital administrators in the various hospitals that we visited. I seek your serious ruling, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Although the honorable member has sufficiently debated his point of order, but because he's bringing in a report that has been adopted, and I need to reserve my ruling to another date so that we can verify those facts and allegations that have been made. So ruling reserved. The Honorable Minister of Health.
Madam Speaker.
The question from the Honorable Member for Chairman North. Maybe now. May the Honorable Member for Chairman North repeat?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think my question to the Minister is that since she is disputing that NEMA is covering, there's no limit in terms of medication. Are you confirming, or Minister, are you able to go back to, especially at UTH, and verify this information? Because this information has been coming from patients, relatives who have patients at the cancer center there. So are you confirming that NEMA is able to buy, to cater up to whatever cost of the medication? Because the nation is listening.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable, for your follow-up question. Madam Speaker, clearly it's either he has not understood my answer earlier, because if you look at his question, Madam Speaker, he was saying whether the government is aware that NEMA currently pays a maximum of 1.5 towards cancer treatment for each patient. And my response was, government is not aware that NEMA currently pays a maximum of 1.5 towards cancer treatment for each patient. So I don't know whether that response confirms that NEMA is paying paying 10,000 or 20,000. You're asking, are we aware? I've said I'm not aware. What I'm aware, I've articulated. I've said the House may wish to note that the cost of various interventions, they're different, and people go for different. It's not like a one kind of treatment. And I gave the categories. There's diagnosis, there's the actual treatment, there's NEMA, there's rehabilitation, there's hospital admission, there's hospice care. So this patient you are talking about is a patient who is now at the end, who is going to the hospital for hospice care. I've articulated. I've said, according to the statutory instrument, you can only have treatment up to 90 days. So you can see that 90 days and 1.5 doesn't go together. So maybe even the question, Madam Speaker, was not very focused. Maybe it needed to be qualified. For example, if he had said, are you aware that they're paying 1.5 for hospice care, or for diagnosis, or for treatment, or for rehabilitation, or indeed the cost of hospital admission and related inpatient costs. So there are different costs, and NEMA covers differently, not just one figure. So there's a bit of more clarity in the question itself, and that's why I've tried to give all the answers. So it might well mean that this 1.5 is covering only one of these various forms of treatment, and that it cannot be complete for the whole treatment of cancer, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm not sure what this question, because from the question, the Honorable Member for Chairman North is saying NIMA is only paying a maximum of 1,500 for everything. That's what he's saying in his question. And since the government is not aware, but now the Honorable Member for Chairman North has brought this information to the attention of the Ministry of Health or government. So now that the government is aware through this question, what measures, urgent measures are being taken to ensure that cancer treatment, make cancer treatment more affordable? Maybe the question is, now that the government is aware, what measures is the government going to take to ensure that this position is corrected? If it's not correct or not correct, I don't know, but it's better following up. I think that is the question. So,
thank you, Madam Speaker, for your further guidance. Maybe, because this is an important question, Madam Speaker, and it's affecting a number of people, maybe Madam Speaker may allow me to investigate further and come with specific costs for each of the categories of treatment, rather than just use this 1.5 as if it is the entire treatment of cancer, because cancer is expensive generally. It cannot cost 1.5. So I think that because this is an important question, the Speaker may allow me to come back tomorrow with specific answer towards what you've said, so that the people know exactly what it is.
Thank you very much. That is okay, but I don't know whether tomorrow will be. But since we have a ministerial statement, we have. Okay, let's bring it up back tomorrow, because it was asked as an urgent question. So tomorrow, the Honorable Minister can come with more information. Thank you very much for that. Next question, the Honorable Member for Kantanshi.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Question 320.
The Honorable Acting Minister of Finance and National Planning.
Madam Speaker, the Honorable Member of Kantanshi, Mr. Anton Mumba, MP, asks a question to the Minister of Finance in two parts. Part A, what is the cause of the sharp appreciation of the kwacha in the week beginning 18th June 2023 was? And in Part B, he asks, what urgent measures are being taken to mitigate the negative impact of the sharp appreciation will have on the economy? Madam Speaker, our responses are as follows. The House may wish to note that recently the performance of the Zambian kwacha against the dollar has improved. Specifically, from the week beginning 18th June 2023, the Zambian kwacha's performance has mainly been affected by the positive market sentiment, which was influenced by the news that Zambia has successfully negotiated and reached an agreement to restructure her debt. The Zambian kwacha appreciated by 19% to trade at 17.26 to the US dollar as at 27th June 2023, from 21 kwacha 31 ngwe per US dollar at the end of the first quarter 2023. Part B, Madam Speaker, the movement in the exchange rate is ultimately driven by the balance of supply and demand, and the movement impacts businesses and households in different ways. We know that a weaker exchange rate does not help non-traditional exporters by providing a better return on their exports earnings in kwacha. Also, a good example are companies that export to the Democratic Republic of Congo, such as Zambia Sugar. On the other hand, Madam Speaker, a depreciation is harmful to local businesses and the public who depend on imports for the production of their goods and services for consumption of final products. In this regard, Madam Speaker, a depreciation tends to push inflation upwards, which is a tax on the value, especially for the poorest members of our society. But the converse is also true. An appreciation can hurt non-traditional exporters and drive to diversify the economy and build up international reserves, whilst it can support and fight against inflation and therefore have a positive role. Madam Speaker, therefore, what is important is that we maintain a relatively stable currency to allow businesses to plan effectively and manage the volatility of the currency up or down in line with prevailing supply and demand factors in the market. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member for Kantanchi.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Thank you very much, Acting Minister of Finance. Indeed, a stable kwacha will certainly drive proper planning for businesses. But what we saw last week led to a number of businesses losing out in terms of the sharp appreciation of the kwacha. Honourable Minister, you will agree with me that market sentiment cannot for a long time sustain a growth of our kwacha or the kwacha remaining strong. So my concern was that it's a responsibility, especially of the central bank, to keep a close eye on the movements of the kwacha. So why didn't government send some form of a warning that we are anticipating this growth of the kwacha, this strengthening of the kwacha, rather than allowing so many businesses losing out money because of this appreciation of kwacha? And I must put it on record that I support the strengthening of our kwacha and the fundamentals that go around it. But when it comes to what happened last week, why didn't the government inform the nation in advance? Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Acting Minister of Finance and National Planning.
Madam Speaker, the Zambian economy maintains a free-floating currency and therefore depends on the laws of demand and supply. Government does not issue warnings as to the direction in which the currency will go, because that would be amounting to exchange controls. And the market and the responsibility of the central bank is to maintain stability in the currency. It is also normal, Madam Speaker, for a currency to move sharply depending on the market circumstances that are prevailing at a particular time. What also caused the movement in the currency, Madam Speaker, was also the taxes that are paid on a quarterly basis. So that meant that the corporates themselves who participate in the Zambian market were converting forex, were doing their own conversions, therefore putting more foreign exchange on the market. And on the inverse, there wasn't enough demand for the dollar, and that caused the currency to move. That is normal. The currency has now found its own stability, and that's also part of the market practices that prevail in a free-floating economy like ours. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chimwemwe.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Minister. Minister, has the current account surplus declined as at 30th of March 2023 compared to the last quarter of last year, 2022? Thank you.
The Honorable Acting Minister of Finance and National Planning.
Madam Speaker, that's a completely different question. It's referring to reserves. We are discussing the issue of fluctuations in the Kwacha as at June 18. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kamfinsa.
Honorable Minister, Acting Minister of Finance, you have just briefed this August House on the state of the exchange rate. I do recall that government last year spent millions of dollars to attempt to control the free-flowing exchange rate. I want to find out if that policy of offloading dollars to control the exchange rate will continue for the next 6 months. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Acting Minister of Finance and National Planning.
Madam Speaker, open market operations by the central bank are done at the discretion of the central bank, depending on what effect they want to have on the market. And it's not the responsibility of the executive to send a message into the market to say they will intervene. It's the preserve of the central bank under the act that we enacted ourselves as parliamentarians. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kantansh.
Thank you once again, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, I appreciate your responses, but you do understand that we have a very small economy. And obviously, the upward appreciation of the kwacha from merely market sentiments is unsustainable. There are certain corrective measures that government has already announced that it intends to put in place so that businesses can plan. For example, the government's desire to ensure that exports, especially from copper proceeds, are at least banked in Zambia so that we have enough dollars. But in this particular case, and I also know, markets listen to three voices: President, Finance Minister, and Central Bank Governor. Now, for me, my interest is we are coming from a background where our kwacha had lost value to 20 kwacha, and everybody was planning around that, whether it's OMCs, whether it's people who are in the business of importing. Now, 1 minute you have $10,000, which was equivalent to 200,000 kwacha. The next minute, it's 170,000. You have a deficit of 30,000. Now, those losses in an economy such as ours.
Oh, the Honorable Member, you are debating. I was trying to see when you are going to ask your supplementary question.
Yeah.
Ask a supplementary question.
Going forward, yes, you did announce that we cannot be involved in exchange controls. But for the purposes of people planning, what exactly is government going to do? Because we will have various market sentiments going forward, looking at the situation we're in. Now, for the purposes of those small businesses, what message do you have for them so that we can make sure that we hedge these losses, which can end up causing serious operational problems for them, including job losses?
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Acting Minister of Finance and National Planning.
Madam Speaker, when there's volatility in the market, there's always two sides to the market. There will be those that may make losses, and there are also market participants, such as the Zambian people who would gain from a strengthened kwacha. Because we are an import-oriented economy, each time the currency appreciates, Madam Speaker, what it means is that goods and services in the shops, the prices drop. Conversely, Madam Speaker, there are operations within our own market that benefit from a loosened, from a weak kwacha. An example is politicians that we know, Madam Speaker, from recent reports in the media, who've been robbed by their female friends. They kept $1.2 million in the house. Definitely those, Madam Speaker, have been hit by a strengthened kwacha. Further to that, Madam Speaker, it is to the benefit of our economy for us to have a strong kwacha, also with stability in the market. The notion that each time the currency appreciates and there are losses, it's a permanent dent on the economy is not correct. The market, Madam Speaker, anticipated this movement in the currency, one, First of all, on the back of the taxes that were converted, that I know that conversions were done to strengthen the kwacha and taxes were paid. Number two, the sentiment that the debt was being resolved was known to the financial markets in our country, and therefore banks and financial institutions repriced the currency accordingly, and the kwacha appreciated. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member for Lunte, you want to raise a point of order. What's the point of order?
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I raise my point of order on the Honorable Acting Minister of Finance and National Planning, Honorable Stanley Kakuvo. Madam Speaker, the Minister knows very well that it's a requirement under our Standing Order number 65 that the information he brings to this House must be verifiable, and he cannot make reference to a document which is not sitting in this Assembly via laying down on the table. Madam Speaker, the Minister speaks to social media reports, which reports may be misleading. Is he in order to claim that a politician has lost money as a result of a girlfriend stealing $1.2 million, when in fact there is no report on the table and he has not laid evidence on the table? I seek your serious ruling, Madam Speaker.
Order. I believe the Honorable Minister was referring to an article in the paper which was referring to that. It's in public domain, so, and he was just referring, he was giving an example. So let's not go there. Let's get back to business. The Honorable Member for Lukasha.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Just to emphasize, Honorable Minister, that that story is as fictitious as James Hadley Chess' story. I will ask a question, Madam Speaker, from both the standpoint of depreciation and appreciation. I'm sorry, Honorable Minister, if I'm going to sound repetitive. I just want to find out if there's a specific government policy that you have to address the issue of fluctuation of the currency in the country, because that definitely is hurting the economy. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Acting Minister of Finance and National Planning.
Madam Speaker, government is not aware of any currency that does not fluctuate. That's why the financial systems are in place, and that is why this Parliament enacted the central bank to manage normal intraday, monthly fluctuations, quarterly fluctuations, and the central bank is there to hedge the country accordingly. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. We make progress. The next question. The next question is being asked by the Honorable Member for Lumezi. Now, I have a bit of a challenge in this matter. I've received communication from the Honorable Member of Petauke, who has written a letter, himself writing a letter to my office, saying that he has been given permission by the Honorable Member for Lumezi to ask the question on his behalf. But at the same time, I've received communication from the Honorable Member for Bangweulu to say that Honorable Member for Nyimba is going to ask the question on behalf of the Honorable Member for Lumezi. Now, with regards to the Honorable Member for Petauke Central, according to our standing orders, if a member wants to appoint somebody to ask the question on their behalf, they are supposed to put it in writing. In this case, Honorable Member for Lumezi should have written a letter to my office appointing the Honorable Member for Petauke to be his proxy to ask this question on his behalf. And in this regard, I will refer the Honorable Member, and also for the guidance of the House, to Standing Order 78-2, which talks about lapsing of questions. 78-2. Despite paragraph 1 of this standing order, maybe let me read one first. Where a member asking a question appearing on the order paper is absent from the House, when the question comes up for consideration, the question shall lapse and shall not be asked again during the same session. 2. Despite paragraph 1 of this standing order, a member who, due to his or her absence in the House, is unable to ask his or her question when it comes up for answer, may authorize in writing another member to ask the question in the member's stead. So because Honorable Member for Petaoke wrote a letter himself appointing himself to act on behalf of the Honorable Member for Rumezi, so that letter is not admissible, cannot stand. Then because Honorable Member for Bangor has given contradictory information, now I have two conflicting statements, and Honorable Member for Rumezi remains not to be in the House. That question therefore lapses. Can we go to the next question? The next question, the Honorable Member for Chadiza.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The people of Chadiza are asking question number 322.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Mr. Jeddah MP Chadiza Parliamentary Constituency is asking the Minister of Energy whether the government has any plans to extend the rural electrification program to Chadiza Parliamentary Constituency. B, if so, when the plans will be implemented, and C, which areas are embarked for electrification in 2022, and D, what the estimated cost of the exercise is. Madam Speaker, the answer to A is as follows. Yes, the government of the Republic of Zambia through the Rural Electrification Authority, RIA, has plans to extend the rural electrification program to Chadiza Parliamentary Constituency. Answer to question B. RIA undertook a scoping exercise of rural growth centers in Chadiza Parliamentary Constituency in the month of May 2023. The scoping exercise established, among others, the bill of quantities and the cost of electrification. The areas scoped include Chanjone, Nasiruri, Karitema, Chitazi, Mloro Palace, and Chambuli Village, Ambizi, Tafiransoni, and the Kapirimpika surrounding areas. However, the subsequent electrification will be subject to the availability of funds. Answer to question C. There are no areas embarked on for electrification in 2022. However, this can be expedited if the area member of parliament can dedicate resources to the program from the Constituency Development Funds, CDF. Answer to question D. The total cost for electrifying the scoped rural growth centers in Chadiza Parliamentary Constituency is estimated at 53 million kwacha. Madam Speaker, allow me to give additional information on the subject just for clarity. The project is expected to start in subsequent years, subject to availability of funds. It should be noted that in electrifying these areas, the Rural Electrification Authority targets rural growth centers, which include public infrastructure such as hospitals, schools, and market areas. This provides the backbone for the distribution network and makes it easy for us to electrify households, and when they are ready to be connected to the electrification program, who have provided the necessary backbone infrastructure to enable such connections to be possible. Madam Speaker, in the 2024 financial year, I'm expecting, rather government is expecting additional funding in form of grants towards the rural electrification program. These funds will help speed up connections in rural areas so as to help achieve the 51% target by 2030. I submit.
Thank you. The honorable supplementary questions. The honorable member for Chadiza.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Minister, I don't appreciate your responses to my question. Minister, I want to say it expressly that the people of Chadiz are not impressed with how you have responded to this question.
Order, honorable member. This is not the time to start evaluating how the ministers performed. This is the time to ask supplementary questions. Ask supplementary questions.
Thank you. Well guided, Madam Speaker. Minister, now that there's a 1 million kwacha retention from our CDF, how do you intend to apply this 1 million kwacha to my constituency? Because I know these projects you referred to are segmented, amounting to 53 million kwacha. So the 1 million kwacha retention that you have subjected our CDF to, how do you intend to apply it into my constituency?
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the Member of Parliament would do well to enter into an MOU with RIA so that they can utilize this 1 million kwacha which is available. I submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Nyimba.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I know the Minister is trying his level best, but turning to the answer on the CDF, Minister, I've got diarrhea now, seriously speaking.
Honorable Member,
Chair.
Honorable Member, can we respect the dignity and decorum of the House? Talking to about the problems that you have with your stomach, I think is not good and appropriate. May the Honorable Member ask a supplementary question?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Minister, through you, Madam Speaker. Minister, you agree with me that RIA have got no engineers to construct a line. They always contract contractors to do their works. You agree with me that the price, the quoting of RIA and the quoting of a private contractor, there's that contrast. In my samples so far, I've realized that a private contractor is cheaper than RIA. Then if you want us to be using a CDF in case of Chadiza today.
Ask a supplementary question, Honorable Member.
Yes, Madam Speaker. I just wanted to build up something to the Minister. Minister, in case of Chadiza today, if you want them to use part of the CDF, are you willing to give them a green light that the council can also be sampling or can also contract a private contractor who can construct the line, then in turn hand it over to RIA? When they compare the pricing, if they find that the other part is cheaper than RIA. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Madam Speaker, this is good news to hear that private contractors are cheaper than RIA. Yes, it is possible that the council can contract a private contractor to construct the line, and then it will be passed on to RIA, subject to RIA confirming availability of funds. I submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chadiza.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Minister, I haven't heard you, in your plans, I haven't heard you cite that you have got any plans to electrify chief palaces. For all information, in Chadiza, we don't have any of the chief palaces that have got access to electricity. When at one of the palaces, the ZESCO power line passes through right in the yard of the palace. Honorable Minister, to that effect, do you have any plans as RIA to rectify chief palaces in Chadiza constituency. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Before the Member of Parliament becomes emotional, I can assure him that electrification of chief palaces program has started this year. So I will look at what is laid out, and I will inform him when his chief's palace will be electrified as submitted.
Thank you. Although the use of the word emotional, maybe I didn't see that he was emotional at all. Maybe it can be withdrawn so that we maintain harmony in the House.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the guidance. I withdraw the word emotional and replace it probably with agitated.
If I were you, I would say concerned. He was concerned. He's concerned because of his concerns. Let's make progress. The Honorable Member for Mandevu.
Madam Speaker, I want to find out from the Minister, now that he has referred the Member of Parliament for Chadiza to the use of CDF. And the CDF, we received a ceiling on how much you could use towards this program, which is a 1 million. Can he confirm to the House when his ministry will provide the balance of the 52 million kwacha, which year, so that we make progress? I thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I've already indicated that this project will be implemented when funds are available. So the 1 million that is available now can be used to do other things that is connected to rural electrification. Submit.
Thank you. The last question, the Honorable Member for Bahati.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Minister, thank you for your responses. Minister, each time a question of this manner comes on the floor of the House, you always refer to the RIA master plan, and I hope Chadiza is scoped in this plan. And I believe that the plan is tailored to constituents' needs. So I want to find out from you, Minister, are you able to share with us the master plan from RIA according to our needs in our various constituencies? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Madam Speaker, I did put the RIA master plan on the table sometime last year. The Honorable Member is free to check on my records, and he can as well come to our office to look at the plan so that he can also know when RIA is going to rectify bad submit.
Thank you. Let's make progress. Question for oral answer, understanding order 74. Oh, sorry. I'm going backwards. Next question, the Honorable Member for Mbavala.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 323.
The Honorable Acting Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Member of Parliament from Babala constituency asks the Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development, A, whether the government has any plans to rehabilitate the following bridges in Babala parliamentary constituency. 1, Muyanda on Simaovi Macha Road. 2, Jambwa on Maja Kabimba Road. 3, Muyobe on Muyobe Maja Road. 4, Kajenje on the Kajenje Munguza Road. And 5, the bridges along Pemba Mapanza Road. And B, if so, when the plans will be implemented. Madam Speaker, I wish to respond as follows. A, the government has undertaken condition surveys on the listed bridges and is aware of their current condition. The government is at the moment not in a position to undertake full rehabilitation of the listed bridges in Babala parliamentary constituency. However, government will undertake remedial works on the bridges to maintain connectivity. B, as indicated at A, the government has no immediate plans to rehabilitate the bridges, and therefore no time frame has been set. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Supplementary questions? I see none. Or the Honorable Member from Mbawala.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Of course, it would have been nicer if the Minister was available. The issue of these bridges, all right.
Oh, the
Sorry about
Honorable
that.
Member from Mbawala.
Sorry about that, Madam
It's
Speaker.
one cabinet, there is an acting minister, so please, he knows, just ask the questions.
Yes, thank you so much. Sorry about that. The issue of especially the bridges from Muyanda and the Kachenje bridge, including the one in Chamba bridge. These bridges have cut off people to access hospital services, including one of them cutting off people to travel to Choma and the like. I wanted to find out, Honorable Minister, why there is no time frame to these crucial 3 bridges that have been pending since the 2021-2022 rain season that collapsed them. I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Acting Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
I think when we're answering the question, we're answering in all bridges. Now he has just isolated. And this is why we said, however, government will undertake remedial works on the bridges to maintain connectivity. So it will be done. But when we were answering the whole question, we answered for all the bridges. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Pemba.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to find out if it is possible, especially the bridges between Kasia, to have the boxed culverts so that probably we can use the CDF resources to do remedial measures. Thank you.
The Honorable Acting Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Yes. Some of the projects may be considered for funding using Constituent Development Fund. It's possible. Thank you.
Honorable Member for Petauke Central, you want to find yourself in Mbawala. What's your question?
Thank you, Madam Speaker, to allow the good people of Petauke to ask a follow-up question to the Minister on behalf of the good people of Mbawala. Minister, can you allow the Member of Parliament from Mbawala to use CDF instead of bringing this issue here, because CDF has been increased?
Oh, the Honorable Member for Petauke. The Honorable Member for Pemba asked a similar question. I don't know whether you were not listening. So that question has already been asked and answered. Let's make progress. Notes of motion. The Honorable Member for Sesheke.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that this House do adopt the report of the Committee on Energy, Water Development and Tourism for the second session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on 23rd June 2023.
Thank you. Is the motion seconded?
Yes, Madam Speaker.
Seconded by the Honorable Member for Kafue. The question is, that this House do adopt the report of the Committee on Energy, Water Development and Tourism on tourism sector development and the effectiveness of tourism development strategies in Zambia for the second session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on Friday, 23rd June 2023. Any debate? The Honorable Member for Sesheke.
Madam Speaker, in line with its terms of reference, the committee undertook a study on tourism sector development and the effectiveness of tourism development strategies in Zambia. As espoused in the 8th National Development Plan, the government of the Republic of Zambia strategizes to promote tourism growth by revamping the sector and supporting its recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. Madam Speaker, the committee had occasion to interact with various stakeholders on the subject matter and learned that the development of the tourism industry is being hampered by a variety of factors upon which the committee has made observations and recommendations, which I'm sure the honorable members have had time to read in the report. Allow me at this point to highlight a few findings of the committee and its recommendations. Madam Speaker, the committee learned that most citizens find it difficult to participate in the tourism industry due to the highly centralized registration process. In view of this, the committee urges the executive to speedily amend and revise the Cooperative Society Act, Chapter 397 of the laws of Zambia, and the Patents Act, number 40 of 2016, in order to address the bottlenecks and decentralize the registration process without delay. Madam Speaker, the committee also learned that there are too many licenses, fees, and taxes paid by tour operators and other tourism industry sector players, thereby increasing their operational cost. In this regard, the committee urges the executive to undertake a comprehensive study of the license regime in the country. This measure will inform the executive of the various licenses, fees, and taxes existing in the sector and guide them during the review process. This process will result in reducing the cost of doing business in the tourism sector. Madam Speaker, with regard to the functions of the Zambia Tourism Agency, the committee learned that the agency is mandated to market Zambia as a tourist destination of choice and to regulate the tourism industry. The committee contends that these two roles are too wide to be undertaken by one entity. In light of this, the committee urges the Minister of Tourism to restrict the role of the agency to marketing and identifying another entity to regulate the sector. Madam Speaker, let me conclude by thanking you and the Office of the Clerk for the guidance, the support rendered to the committee during its deliberations. I further wish to thank officers of the Ministry of Tourism and all stakeholders that appeared before the committee. Madam Speaker, I also wish to thank members of the committee that worked in coexistence without aligning themselves to party affiliations. Madam Speaker, I also wish to appreciate the members of the committee as well for their timely in terms of coming to these meetings, and to those that endured the local tours. Madam Speaker, with these few words, I beg to move.
Thank you very much. Does the seconder wish to speak now or later? Now, Madam Speaker. The Honorable Member for Kafue. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm laughing at the way my chairman concluded when he talked about enduring. It was indeed endurance to have gone up north there to explore the tourism potential of our country. But let me start by commending the able manner in which he has presented, our report committee Now, Honorable findings. Member, if you people were going to see the tourist attractions in Jewad, what more our tourists, will they ever go to those places? And that is why this report, Madam Speaker, is very important. But I don't want to miss the commendation also for the red jacket that he is wearing this afternoon. Now, Madam Speaker, indeed your committee did get to the Northern Circuit, and in addition, to the few highlights that the chairperson has made, I also wanted to highlight, the aspects of there being insufficient security in these national parks. This was a very key observation, Madam Speaker, where we noted that the number of wildlife officers is quite insufficient, and therefore your guess is as good as mine as to what happens, to the wildlife in these game parks. We could drive, in fact, we drove for long distances within parks without seeing not even a frog, Madam Speaker. So we were left worried as a committee as to whether really our game parks, and the animals therein are well protected. And hence, we went ahead to recommend that the ministry needs to invest in security, and especially through the use of modern technology where they could do some surveillance to just see what is happening in these game parks. We noted as a committee, Madam Speaker, also that there is inadequate marketing of the tourist attractions in the Northern Circuit. For the first time, I was learning about Rumangwe, and I remember saying, I'm only learning about these other natural wonders at the age of over 50. And yet we should have known about these places through the marketing strategies and the various efforts that are supposed to help actually sell these products. So this is just, Madam Speaker, to say that these areas are even rarely, visited. We were given very low numbers, as low as 300 visitors for the entire year compared to what is happening in Livingstone. So you can see how underutilized these very important natural phenomena that are in the Northern Circuit are being underutilized. And so with that, we recommended that there was an urgent need to actually set up offices in the Northern Circuit, like the Zambia Tourism Agency. We felt that if they put up offices in the provincial centers, it would help actually with the marketing and all the other efforts that need to be marshaled in order to support tourism. Because what is obtaining on the ground, Madam Speaker, is that the entire region, maybe 3 provinces put together, you would find there's only one person responsible for tourism. And so for them to move from the north there, go eastwards to Chipata, no, it wasn't yielding the results, I'm sure, by those who conceived, the idea of putting only one person responsible to look at tourism. As a matter of fact, Madam Speaker, it was very evident on the ground that the stakeholders, much as at national level here, we are making very strong pronouncements about the importance of tourism and how we must, do it. On the local level there, we noted that there was very little coordination and communication across various sectors, for them to get to talk tourism and bring it to the level, that it should go to, if indeed it was to contribute to our nation's GDP. So there's a lot, Madam Speaker, and I will encourage the minister who is not in the House this afternoon, I don't know if there's somebody, to take an interest to read and study these matters. Otherwise, we have a lot of potential that remains untapped and which we need so badly in order to supplement, our economic gain. Finally, Madam Speaker, the aspect of roads. Roads, which we have been talking about in this place. So even in the northern circuit, Madam, the endurance was as a result of traversing these bad roads to reach the furthest places, to see these places. The famous Kasaba Bays of this world, we got there, we saw them under very difficult conditions. And the local stakeholders there are saying, we are hearing you in Lusaka, you are talking about putting up an airstrip here. We think that this is not a priority as far as we are concerned. We think that if you did roads, even Zambians are able to go there, take their materials, put up the lodges, and then the visitors can fly in. Now, even if you prioritize, an airport there, when they land here, where will they go? Those were the questions that I thought needed serious reflection, and of course, highlighting the key issue also that we found in Zambia, where workers' compensation are supposed to put up a modern conference facility, and we were made to understand that plans had already advanced, but somehow things have stalled, and so the appeal was that our new Dawn government could quickly pick up on this very important initiative, that will open up Zambia as a gateway to the northern circuit. Otherwise, we were quite happy with what we saw in Zambia, the tourist centers put up, but again, not yet operationalized. And I think we also left, strong encouragement, within our powers to ensure that they did everything possible to ensure that this other infrastructure they had managed to put up at least could start operating, including a lodge that they had been given as compensation, from the Workers' Compensation Fund, who got part of their land, which is meant for this modern infrastructure. So, Madam Speaker, the issue of infrastructure is as cardinal as that of roads when it comes to talking about tourism development in Zambia. With those few remarks, I want to thank you for this opportunity to second this very important motion. I thank you. Thank you. The Honorable Member for Lunte.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for causing me to make a contribution on the committee's report on tourism sector development and the effectiveness of the tourism development strategies in Zambia. Of course, the report has been properly moved, or the motion properly moved by my honorable colleague, whose jacket is quite bright, I must say. Madam Speaker, the seconder, Honorable Miriam Chonya, has done justice to the report. So I'll go very fast to where my thoughts have hovered around the period I've had the chance to read this report. On page 11, Madam Speaker, the committee was informed that some of the challenges that hindered tourism sector development and effectiveness of tourism development strategies include the ones listed under at 1, inadequate tourism physical infrastructure. Physical infrastructure such as roads, railways, airports, telecommunications, and accommodation facilities were not fully developed in most tourist sites. Madam Speaker, the importance of tourism to our economy cannot be overemphasized. If you take time to read the 8th National Development Plan and Strategic Development Area number 1, which is economic transformation and job creation, you will easily discover that the government wants to promote tourism. But here are the challenges put by the committee, which challenges must be solved. Madam Speaker, inadequate physical infrastructure is a real challenge. But think about it. If we were able to develop our infrastructure in these areas, but our record on human rights is declining, tourists will not show up. And so as we develop infrastructure, it is my proposal that government takes into account an integrated development where even the records on human rights, upholding of human rights, must go up. Madam Speaker, some airports have been created. Of course, many more need to be created. But what will these airports add to our image if our country is seen as a corrupt country? And so as we do these things, corruption must be eliminated. And this is why I keep saying FIC must never report 6.1 billion corruption. It is wrong for our image. It is wrong for the image of government. It is wrong for our country. Madam Speaker, this infrastructure, which we are capable of developing, what is it going to do to us if visitors may think they can be abducted by police? Madam Speaker, it is clearly important.
Order. There is a point of order. Honorable Mufalali, what is the point of order?
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise on first one to... Oh, mine. Yeah. Thank you. Sorry, Madam Speaker. I rise first one to 65, Madam Speaker. Article 65 of our standing orders. 1A. Confine, a member who is debating shall confine his or her debate to the subject under discussion. Madam Speaker, the subject under discussion is a report. He is the honorable member who is trying so hard to bring issues of human rights, bring issues of abduction, which are irrelevant to this report which we have before this committee. Is he in order to bring his personal issues and continue lamenting in that fashion? I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, honorable members. As we debate, let's stick to the report. Let's not bring in matters that are not covered in the report. When the honorable member for Lunte was talking about human rights, I was flipping through the report to see whether any matter relating to human rights was raised as one of the challenges. Then he quickly moved to corruption. I looked around, but please, honorable member for Lunte, stick to the report. So he was out of order for bringing in extraneous matters that are not covered in the report. May the honorable member for Lunte continue.
Thank you. Why? Madam Speaker, thank you so much for the ruling on my friends, the MP for point of order, who has always raised on this point of orders.
Order, honorable member. Just stick to the report and the debate, please.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, 1.2 billion was stolen from a PF official, says the Minister of Foreign Affairs, acting as Minister of...
On what page are you referring to? Maybe we can be together. On what page are you referring to?
No, I'm now explaining myself, Madam Speaker.
No, but I've already ruled, honorable member. You cannot explain. Once I've ruled, let's just proceed. Let's not waste time on explanations. I've already ruled. Proceed.
Madam Speaker, it is important for us to create this infrastructure and create confidence in the people who are looking to come to visit our areas of attraction, that once they come, they will be free. This is a peaceful country. This is a country which is able to abide by its own laws. That's very important. Traveling on good roads and landing on good airports is not enough. What may be needed, Madam Speaker, is to ensure you guarantee safety. Guarantee safety to the tourists. They should know that no tourist can be abducted. That is very important,
The
Madam
honorable member, you've been guided. You've been guided. Let's not go to that. We want your debate to flow nicely. So when you bring in matters, there will be interruptions. So your debate will not flow. Allow your own debate to flow naturally by sticking to the report. Proceed.
Marketing will be important, Madam Speaker, so that these numbers of 300 visitors per year, as illustrated by Honorable Madam Miriam Chonya, can be improved. Madam Speaker, my thoughts are clear. That when we increase numbers from 300 to 1 million, these numbers, when they come to our country and go back, must carry a good weight, so that just that weight produces what is known as a multiplier effect. What is happening in our country should encourage them to advise others to come back. Madam Speaker, let me just speak about fear of the unknown. Fear of the unknown is capable of restraining people from taking decisions which are beneficial to our country. And so as we consider these strategies, these issues which are contained in this FIC report should not arise. The issues of illicit financial flows will inhibit investment in infrastructure which is meant to support tourism. These issues of illicit financial flows, issues of, Madam Speaker.
The honorable member. In relation to the strategy, which one are you referring to in particular? Which one are you referring to? If you can address that, then maybe...
The strategy, Madam Speaker, to create more infrastructure. Create more infrastructure to aid the arrivals of visitors to our country. And so it's information, such as this information contained in the FIC report, which will be detrimental to investment in this sector. It will be detrimental to investment in the road sector, in the accommodation sector, and in communication sector, because the people with money, and as we have heard in the recent past, the people with money need to be attracted in this sector, Madam Speaker. To attract them, confidence must be built. Confidence should not be underplayed, Madam Speaker.
Thank
I
you.
wish to submit.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Honorable members, order. Let's not disrupt other members as they are debating. Otherwise, we are attracting disorder. Honorable member, no, you never quoted from it and you never talked about it. So why are you laying it on the table? We don't even know which year that report is. Honorable member for Kanchibia.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank you for this opportunity and allow me to thank the mover of the motion, the seconder of the motion, and to also place on record that from where I'm coming from in Kanchibia, we think that tourism holds a lot of potential in unlocking our rural community. Madam Speaker, in speaking to tourism sector development and effectiveness of tourism development, allow me to confine my debate to eco-cultural tourism, which I think has not been given its deserved place in sector development. As we talk about tourism, we have focused on the Victoria Falls and the Kasaba Bay, etc. But little attention, little dividends, and little attention has been paid to eco-cultural tourism. Madam Speaker, there are tourists, international tourists, who travel long distances in order to experience the way of life of a people, in order to experience the ecosystem in a particular place, especially when the ecosystem has not been adulterated. And that you would find in rural areas. Madam Speaker, glancing and reading through the report, one gets a feeling that there's a lot of emphasis on infrastructure, on roads, etc. But there's very little attention being given to, for an example, cultural traditional ceremonies all across the country. There are people who travel from Germany because they want to come and experience what the Chinamanongo ceremony of the Bisa-speaking people in Kanchivia is all about. There are people who want to come through and experience what the Kuomboka is all about. They want to experience what the Nchwala is all about, you know, what the Kulamba Kubwalo is all about, and many other traditional ceremonies across the country. Madam Speaker, eco-cultural tourism is the only way and the only gateway through which local communities, rural communities can participate in this very important and multi-million or multi-billion sector called tourism. But as it is, our policies will continue to speak by and large to a sector that must be enjoyed by those who have the bourgeoisies and to the exclusion of rural communities. So if my people can perform traditional arts and festivals, who is packaging our traditional ceremonies and marketing these to the international space, Madam Speaker? Madam Speaker, when we speak of eco-cultural tourism, for purposes of clarity, we are placing emphasis on social, cultural, and traditional values of a people. We are talking about environmental awareness of a people. We are talking about respect for the biosphere. We are talking about local cultures and, of course, urban communities. We are talking about the economic potential for public and private companies to invest in rural areas and for rural areas to participate in this particular space. We are talking about high-quality tourism experience. There are those who want to move from developed countries to come and spend a night in a well-furnished hotel, the same facilities that they've left back home, but there are those who want to come and experience life in a rural setting, enjoy a traditional dish, dance to traditional music, but who is packaging what we are all about as a people? Madam Speaker, there are things such as the handicrafts and the visual arts that one would find at Kabwata Cultural Village, or when one walks into Livingston. But the idea of having cultural villages, Madam Speaker, ought to be at the center of a report such as this. Because the moment we don't do that, we exclude the majority of our people who probably will never see the inside of Mosotunya Hotel. But they've got what they can showcase to the potential tourists. Traditional ceremonies, as I've alluded to already, oral traditions, Madam Speaker, and expressions. These also provide an opportunity, Madam Speaker, for us to venture into indigenous knowledge practices. How will our people tap and showcase the knowledge that we've inherited from generation to generation and showcase these to those who are coming to see who we are as a people? And issues around patenting, etc. But these provide an opportunity, a window of opportunity for us, especially from rural areas, to tap into the wealth that this particular sector goes to provide, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, in conclusion, the report speaks to opportunities for job creation for rural communities. And again, I want to repeat that this report would do well to also pay particular attention to eco-cultural tourism. Madam Speaker, with those few remarks, I wish to support the report. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kalomo Central.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Before I begin to talk on my submission, may I counter what the Member of Parliament for Runte said? He said, and I quote, human rights records have deteriorated. Secondly, he said, abductions by the police are causing tourism not to come.
Order. Since the Honorable Member was ruled out of order, and the Honorable Minister is going to address that issue, let's not get into there. So the Honorable Member may continue to debate.
Thank you very much, but I wish I was allowed to rebut.
Order. As the time is 16:40 hours, I suspend business for 20 minutes for a health break.
Good afternoon. We're coming to you live here on Parliament Television. The House considering a report, a motion that has been moved by Mr. Romeo Kangombe and seconded by Kafue MP, Ms. Miriam Chonya, that the House to adopt the report of the Committee on Energy, Water Development and Tourism on tourism sector development and effectiveness of tourism development strategies in Zambia for the second session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on Friday, 23rd June 2023. And just before the break,